It's April 26, 2020. We had our first virtual NFL draft, and it's full of Buckeyes. Going to celebrate the 26th anniversary of Outkast's debut album, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. Going to go across the lines with Outkast and the wrestling tag team Legion of Doom. So put down your Purell syringes and stay tuned. Across the country and around the world, across the street and around the corner, this is Over the Culture. This is Over the Culture podcast, where you get to hear my spin on things I like music, sports entertainment, movies, TV shows, and your mom. You also get to hear about things I don't like the government fumbling my bag. And your president, why are you taking up our oxygen supply and saying words around people with phones, cameras, microphones? What's up, everybody? I'm your Bastard of Ceremonies, the one gear kid, Pat Stay Black, Alex Treblack, Reefer Sutherland, the most interesting blurred in podcasting, social distancing consultant, your disinfected injection, Steve G. And this is Over the Culture. What a rush! What's up, my brothers and sisters? What's up, family? What's up, my people? What's up, my cultivating cultivars? What's up, nigga? How was your week? You quarantining and staying clean? You get paid yet? Because I sure as fuck did not. I talked to Nicole on Friday after talking to Courtney the previous Friday. And both Nicole and Courtney, they sounded real sure of themselves that they get me squared away. Steve G still doesn't have any income coming in. Nothing going into them bank accounts. Nothing wired in. But I still got bill collectors on my ass. Phone bill, car note. When can you have something coming out? To that I say, eat a dick. As soon as I have something coming in, I can have something coming out. Car guy, car note woman. I've been on this phone all times of the day. Still getting these voice prompts. We're at maximum. We can't do anything. We appreciate your patience. Motherfucker, I'm not patient. I just have no other choice but to continue calling you fucking assholes. I have no choice but to stay inside, continue watching my shows, and hope for the best. They're sending me these emails that make no fucking sense. The first time they said that the name on my social security card didn't match the name on the application. So once I talked to Courtney, I thought we got that squared away because I sent her an email while I was on the phone with her, and she said she received it. All right, we'll get back with you. Fast forward to the following Friday, nothing. I get the same email. We noticed that your social security card, motherfucker, I'm not about to go through this with y'all. So they updated their policy or whatever. So basically they're doing it in alphabetical order. And starting today on Sunday, people from A through H, tomorrow I through whatever, and then Tuesday goes on. So I'm A through H. I filed this morning, and I better hear something, motherfucker. I'm sick of this shit. I told the lady, man, y'all about to have me eating cat food in this bitch. Damn near. Well, I'm sorry. I do. Man, fuck your sorry, man. That shit don't put food in my gut. Don't keep these bills paid. Fuck your sorry. Do something about my paper. I want my chips with dip. It's my money and I want it now. What the fuck is wrong with y'all, man? I get it. America is unemployed right now. America is laid off. America's broke. But I do know that some motherfuckers are getting some checks. Motherfuckers are getting those wire transfers. Motherfuckers are getting electronic funds. Oh, please believe. I know some people. I know some folk. And I ain't one of them. And I ain't got no child support. I ain't got no babies. I might have student loans, but fuck, who doesn't at this point? Man, y'all better quit playing. So what have y'all been watching? Watch Dark Side of the Mat, Dark Side of Wrestling, and the last episode was about Dino Bravo, the wrestler from Montreal, I believe. And he was a big name in Montreal. And he was one of the wrestlers that Vince bought out. He was a top star in his independent promotion up there. And he was one of the superstars in the 80s that Vince bought out. And he turned him into a bleach blonde heel. And, you know, he had a nice mid-card run throughout the 80s, to the early 90s. And he retired from wrestling and he fell into the mafia life. He started running cigarettes for the mafia. Selling cigarettes on the black market, on the interstate. Got involved with some cocaine guys, dibbled and dabbled into the underworld, if you will. And long story short, he was found by his wife and daughter, 11 shots to the body. And still to this day, no one can pinpoint who did it. But the case is still open. So Dark Side of the Ring, it's called. Dark Side of the Ring, it airs on Vice at 9 Eastern. The next episode is about Dr. David Schultz and his appearance on 2020. He had an interview back in the 80s and John Stossel was doing a cover story with him, and he made the mistake of asking, "Is wrestling real?" And David Schultz infamously slapped the shit out of him. And the episode on Dark Side of the Ring is about the issue, the drama that ensued. Schultz had a notorious encounter on December 28, 1984 with 2020 reporter John Stossel while Stossel was backstage at Madison Square Garden doing a story about professional wrestling secrets. During an interview, Stossel told Schultz that he thought pro wrestling was fake, and Schultz's response was to hit Stossel in the head twice, knocking him to the floor each time. The attack, which attracted a large amount of media coverage, was later aired on national television, including ABC News, which reported that the network had received more than 1,000 calls from viewers inquiring about Stossel's health. Marvin Cohn, a deputy commissioner at New York State Athletic Commission, had been present at the arena during the incident and immediately suspended Schultz for his actions. Although called by Commissioner Jose Torres to attend a hearing before the commission, Cohn later reported that Schultz had written a letter to the commission admitting that he had acted improperly and apologized both to the commission and to Mr. Stossel, and further stated, "I admit the allegations. I intend the commission to know that I did not intend to hurt John Stossel. I apologize to the commission and John Stossel." Stossel stated that he suffered from pain and buzzing in his ears 8 weeks after the assault. Stossel later claimed he was unaware of Schultz's apology and would pursue his action in court, although commented he would be less likely to sue if the after effects of his injury disappeared. Stossel eventually filed a lawsuit against the World Wrestling Federation and settled out of court for $425,000. Wow. So around this time, Vince was getting used to being sent to court. And in his book, Myths, Lies, and Downright Stupidity, Stossel writes that he has come to regret filing charges, having adopted the belief that lawsuits harm hundreds of innocent people. Although he has consistently maintained that World Wrestling Federation officials told him to hit Stossel, Schultz was fired. Many industry insiders believe that it was not because of his actions against Stossel, but rather because he challenged Mr. T to a fight backstage at a WWF show at Madison Square Garden. So that's going to be the latest or the newest episode of Dark Side of the Ring. It's going to be on this Tuesday. Definitely worth checking out. Those guys at Vice, they know what they're doing. They put on good programming. I've also been watching Better Call Saul on Netflix. After holding it off for years, I've come to realize that Bob Odenkirk is a national treasure. He's a genius. He's been in the game for years. He is a legend in the comedy game as far as writing. And, you know, it stars him, obviously, and it's the backstory of Breaking Bad, which I think, this is just my own humble opinion, Breaking Bad is the greatest show ever. Greatest drama, greatest TV drama in the history of television. Some people might think it's The Wire. Some people would say Sopranos. Some people would say Power now. Just my opinion, Breaking Bad is the greatest. Better Call Saul It's worth checking out. Any fan of Breaking Bad has to watch this prequel series called Better Call Saul. And Jonathan Banks, who plays Mike Ermitrod in both series, he has to be one of my favorite TV characters ever. He's my favorite character on the best TV show ever. He's up there with Steve Urkel, the Fonz, Lisa Simpson, the greats. So right now I'm in season 3. Yeah, I just started season 3. So I got about 7 more episodes left in this season, and I got season 4. That's all that's on Netflix. Have you been watching Last Dance? Last Dance. That's what a lot of the sports fans are talking about. Last Dance. Oh, you LeBron fans, you gonna learn that he's not the GOAT. Man, LeBron isn't even in the goddamn series. He's not even in the documentary. But people just can't help themselves, can they? All of quarantine, that's all I've been getting on my timeline. All these sports groups, NBA groups. Michael Jordan, LeBron James comparisons. When will it fucking end? Why can't they just both be appreciated for their greatness? 2 different times. 2 different monsters. I swear, LeBron haters cannot keep his dick out of their mouth. And they claim that the Bronsexuals can't do it. You can be talking about fucking anything not related to LeBron James, and the motherfucker will find a wedge to get in there, open it up, and find a way for LeBron James to fit in the fucking conversation. I swear, his haters are the real LeBron sexuals. Because you cannot get him off your fucking mind. You sleep thinking about him. You eat thinking about him. You drink his fucking juices. You live to hate for LeBron Raymond James. What did he do to you? Did he fuck your girl? Did he fuck your mama? Did he beat your favorite fucking team? Did he break your heart because he didn't come to your shitty team and wear their shitty fucking jersey? What is it? The hatred for this man is just unreal. Never seen anything like it. Nobody's ever done this with Michael. Nobody ever did this with Larry. Nobody ever did this with Michael, Kareem, Dr. J, Wilt, Bill Russell. None of this. It's just hate on top of hate. I don't know, is it because he came up at a time of social media when smartphones were being invented, when Twitter just came about, when people can voice their shitty dumbass opinions about this person who will never come across their path? Anyways, Last Dance, everyone should check it out because it's a good story. It's about the greatest basketball player, the greatest athlete ever, and his climb to success. His failures that drove him to get past the obstacles and get to success, to get to the pinnacle, the apex, to become numero uno, the GOAT. Air Jordan. The first 2 episodes aired last Sunday. And obviously the first episode, it focuses on Mike. The second episode, of course, focuses on the second amigo, Scotty, and I've seen some advanced episodes. I've seen episodes 3 and 4. The third episode is going to talk about Dennis Rodman and how he came up and how he got welcomed in. Not so much. It was unceremoniously. They just kind of told him like, hey man, you want a job? Like, sure, cool. Let's talk it over with Scotty and Mike first. So third episode is Dennis Rodman. That's Aaron and Knight. And also the 4th episode, it talks about Phil. And what's interesting about Phil Jackson is that he kind of sees himself in Dennis, because when he played for the New York Knicks, they were a championship team. He was a key player on their team, and he was a little bit of a flower child. He's one of those baby boomers who did LSD. He smoked pot. He did the Dalai Lama, the Yogi Maharishi. He went that whole George Harrison approach. He was eccentric. He was weird for his time. He wore ponchos to practice. That kind of shit, right? So seeing Dennis and being his coach, he saw a little bit of himself in Dennis. And I think that's what helped him glue this together. He saw that Dennis needed a friend more than he needed a coach. And that was Phil Jackson's approach, because before Phil Jackson, there was Doug Collins. Doug Collins was the coach when Mike was the MVP for the first time. When he was the All-Star MVP for the first time. Defensive Player of the Year. Dunk contest. You know, Mike and the Bulls, they saw their first signs of success under Doug Collins. Under Doug Collins, that's when Michael Jordan made the shot against the Cleveland Cavaliers to make it to the next round. But what they couldn't do under Doug Collins was get past the Pistons. And everything was very Jordan-centric under Doug Collins. It was give the ball to Mike and let him do his thing. It's isolation, isolation, isolation. It was like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in the one episode. Just pass the ball to Will. That was the play every time. Just pass the ball to Mike every time. So when Phil Jackson took over, he wanted less attention on Mike and more focus on the team, because he knew that's what won championships. He had experience winning championships with the Knicks. Great teams. Walt Frazier. Willis Reed. Earl the Pearl Monroe, Bill Bradley. He knew that it took a collective. It took the team to get past this hump that is the Detroit Pistons. And he told Mike, look, I know you're the scoring champ. I know you're the greatest player in the world. But if you want to get past these guys, you're going to have to make your teammates better. Because what's going to continue happening is every time you go down the lane, they're going to hit you. Jordan rules. They got their whole defensive playbook designed just for you. They're gunning for you, Mike. They got the target on your back, Mike. So you're going to need more out of Scotty. You're going to need more out of Horace, BJ, Paxson, Cartwright even. And the rest was history. His first year, they didn't get past the Pistons. They lost. But that following year, when they swept them, they never looked back. So yeah, tonight's episodes 3 and 4 on ESPN, The Last Dance. Episode 3 is going to be Dennis Rodman. Episode 4 is going to be about Phil Jackson and the rest of the team. So yeah, Last Dance. The GOAT is here. Last night, Saturday Night Live returned for their second Saturday Night Live at home special, and it was better. I liked it. Brad Pitt, he played Dr. Fauci in the cold open, and Brad Pitt doesn't appear on Saturday Night Live too often, but he did the open. That was his only appearance on the show. Miley Cyrus, she performed a cover of Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. I kind of wish she didn't, because I love that song. Don't care much about Miley Cyrus. Charles Barkley and DJ Khaled appeared as themselves in the What's Up With That segment with Kenan Thompson. One of my favorite skits ever on the show. What's Up With That? They brought that back. Jason Sudeikis came back. Fred Armisen, his tracksuit guy and funky sax player. Bill Hader appeared in the skit as a still image of Lindsey Buckingham. Adam Sandler and Rob Schneider appear in the Stuck in the House sketch with Pete Davidson. And must I say, Pete Davidson, you impressed me this last episode. Maybe the audience takes away from your potential, because his digital short with Adam Sandler in it, I was actually impressed. You know, it's basically like a Mac Miller style rap song, and the lyrics in there, he's actually got bars. I'm like, wow, and it's actually got some humor to it. You go ahead, Pete Davidson. And he had an appearance on Weekend Update where the stuff he was saying, it was like actually making me chuckle. Like, wow, man. Maybe this thing is working out for you. Maybe you need to do all of your appearances quarantine. Just do everything from the house, Pete Davidson. Maybe the audience just kind of like messes up your focus. because I don't find the man hilarious. And I'm in a Saturday Night Live group in Facebook, and someone said that his Netflix special is actually decent. I'm going to check it out because I like giving people a chance. I'm not going to write you off just yet, Pete Davidson, but as of now, you've kind of been my least favorite cast member for the last, I don't know, basically since you've been there, bro. But you're young. I get it. You're young, you're famous, and you do drugs. So, I'm going to check that Netflix out, Pete Davidson. Bad Bunny appears in the Big Bunny skit with Big Papi, played by Kenan Thompson. And Paul Rudd appears as himself in the Cousin Mandy sketch. So yeah, maybe this is what it's going to be like for the near future for a while now. They're just going to do these specials from home, these Saturday Night Live at home episodes, because it doesn't look like they're going to lift this anytime soon. We're not getting any signs on any kind of improvement. We're getting more and more cases, and we don't even know if these numbers are factual. If this is real data. People are dying, and it could be the cause could be something else, and people are just putting the COVID-19 stamp on it. I do know that this shit is not to be played with. I'm hearing more and more things. It can, there's headaches, there's flu-like symptoms, heavy breathing, shortness of breath. And you could get it from everywhere. You could get it just from breathing the air. They say you could track it in your shoes. You could bring it into your house with you. Nobody knows, but apparently, idiot face, tiny dick hands president, Donald Trump, he has the answer. This fucking moron, why does he open up his pie hole at all? He needs better people around him. Who is his team? He ain't got no real niggas in his team. Just like Kanye ain't got no real niggas in his team. He ain't got no motherfuckers that just pull him over from, hey man, come around the corner, man. I gotta holler at you, man. Yeah, man. That speech that you about to say, man, in front of the nation, bro, you might want to change these words. Maybe you want to say it this way. I don't feel like he got anybody like that. And if he does, they not a strong enough voice because he's fucking ignoring them. This fucker, this dumbass peach blonde, is talking about injecting ourselves with disinfectants, and then he tried to double down, try to back down like, hey, no, man, I'm just being sarcastic. No, dude, this is not a time to be sarcastic, man. Motherfucker, I'm waiting on my stimuli. Ain't nobody fucking playing no games with you, man. You're not smart enough to be sarcastic. You're not a witty enough guy to say things that are above the fray, to go over people's heads. You said what you said, now stand on it, you fucking asshole. And all of his followers, all of his worshipers, Heil Trump, those motherfuckers are just worse. Oh, he didn't really say that. And if he said it, he didn't really mean it. And if he did, then you just don't understand. And if he did, then so what? Obama was worse. Shut up. And go fuck your mom, cousin. Like you guys are just a Mensa club that we just can't, everything that he fucking says is just above our heads. We don't understand it, but apparently you do. So his inside jokes, only people with who don't have imposable thumbs and who have fucking furrowed eyebrows, those are the only people who fucking get his witty sense of humor. This lockdown is keeping me safe from dumb assholes like you. The MAGA militia. You maggots. Only the essential. That's what I go outside for, man. I'm trying to stay the fuck away from cops. I'm trying to stay fuck away from dumbass people. And a lot of people are dumbass fucking viruses themselves. A lady in Idaho got arrested from the park. Just taking her kids out to the park. And now I get it. You're on lockdown. You're not supposed to go to the park. But she got arrested in front of her kids. This is a white lady. They're arresting a white lady in front of their kids at the park. So you know this shit is serious, man. These people are not fucking playing, man. No, sir, no officer. I was just getting some chips. I was getting some essentials. I was getting my reloads, and I was just gonna go home. Let me go on my way. I don't want no troubles. But this shit is real, man. Over 200,000 deaths worldwide. Now, some of those numbers may be flubbed, but even then, that's still a shitload of people. I don't believe all of those numbers are flubbed. Even if it was 100,000, that's a shit ton of people, bro. I don't want to be a part of this statistic, and I don't think you want to either. We're scheduled to go back to work May 1st, and I'm not sure if I want to go back. They're not paying me enough to put my fucking life on the line, man. This shit was already dangerous with flying, burning magnesium coming at my neck and dealing with sorry, sloppy-ass fat fucks who don't want to work, and I gotta pick up the load. It was already bad enough. I don't need a pandemic making the fucking uphill battle even steeper. So, they gotta tell me something, man, because if they're giving the green light for May 1st, that's this Friday. Yeah, I don't know if I'm moving, dog. So this past Thursday, we had the 85th annual NFL Draft. Draft was held from April 23rd through the 25th via video conferencing. The first round was held on April 23rd, followed by the second and third rounds on April 24th. The draft concluded with rounds 4 through 7 on April 25th. The NFL originally planned to hold the event live in Paradise, Nevada, before all public events related to it were canceled due to the coronavirus. Instead, all team selections took place virtually. The Cincinnati Bengals selected quarterback Joe Burrow of LSU with the first pick, and he came from the LSU Tigers. Now he's a Cincinnati Bengal. I guess you could call him a Tiger King. But check out this fly shit. Cincinnati Bengals with the first pick picked Joe Burrow, former Buckeye. The second pick, Washington Redskins picked Chase Young, Buckeye. Detroit Lions picked Jeff Okudah, Buckeye. New York Giants pick Andrew Thomas. Miami Dolphins, Tua. I don't know his last name, the guy from Alabama. Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert. Carolina, Derek Brown of Auburn. Arizona Cardinals selected Isaiah Simmons. Jacksonville Jaguars selected C.J. Henderson. Cleveland Browns, Jedrick Willis of Alabama. New York Jets, Mekhi Becton of Louisville. Las Vegas Raiders, Henry Ruggs of Alabama. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tristan Wirfs of Iowa. San Francisco 49ers, Javon Kinlaw, South Carolina. Denver Broncos, Jerry Jeudy of Alabama. Atlanta Falcons, A.J. Gerald. Dallas selected C.D. Lamb of Oklahoma. And I'll just stop there. Because really, I only care about maybe the first 20 picks. Maybe if I care about that, just alert me when they make it to the field come September. Because you never know with the NFL. Some guy might get injured in the preseason. Some guy might be a bust. Had our fair share of those. What's up with these girlfriends, man? These girlfriends look at this as their time to shine. Oh, the camera's on us. I'm going to go in for my kiss. Girl, he mine. Y'all can't have him. That's how y'all look. That's how they fucking look. C.D. Lamb, when he got drafted, he had 2 phones. 2 phones! And his girl sitting next to him took one of them, and he instantly took that shit back. Like, this, are you paying for this? And then was the kid Isaiah Simmons, he was the 8th pick by the Arizona Cardinals out of Clemson. His girlfriend sitting on his lap, he gets the announcement that he got picked, and she's hugging him, just drowning him in hugs and titties. And his mom, he's got a white girlfriend, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. And his mama comes from behind and redirects her ass up off that couch, up off his lap. Get the fuck out of here. This is his moment. You couldn't even see the man's face because he's covered in hugs and titty. But yeah, man, the draft, these MLB, NBA, NFL drafts, man. These gold diggers are out here looking for something to sink their paws into. So beware. This past draft had 10 players selected from The Ohio State University, and we have now eclipsed USC with the most first-round selections in the NFL draft. Go Ohio! Ohio! Today in sports history, in 1912, the first home run is hit at Fenway Park by Hugh Bradley of the Red Sox. In 1931, Lou Gehrig hits a home run but is called out for passing a runner, and the mistake cost him an AL home run crown. He and Babe Ruth tie for the season. In 1935, Frank Boucher is given the NHL's Lady Byng Trophy for sportsmanship permanently for winning it 7 of 11 years. In 1941, a tradition begins. The first organ is played at a baseball stadium, Chicago Cubs Wrigley Field. In 1961, Roger Maris hits his first of 61 home runs. In 1964, the 18th NBA championship is held. Boston Celtics beat the San Francisco Warriors 4-1. In 1966, Red Auerbach retires as Boston Celtics head coach. And on that same day, the International Olympic Committee votes to award German city of Munich the right to host the 1972 Summer Olympic Games. In 1975, the Phillies' Mike Schmidt's 2 home runs ties the NL record of 11 home runs in April. In 1983, the San Antonio Spurs beat the Denver Nuggets 152-133 in an NBA playoff game. And on that same day, the 1983 NFL Draft is held. Stanford quarterback John Elway is the first pick by the Baltimore Colts. In 1988, the NBA approves the addition of third referee in 1988-89 season. On that same day, New York Met Davey Johnson becomes the second manager to record 400 victories in his first 4 years. In 1989, Mike Tyson gets a speeding ticket for drag racing in his Lamborghini in Albany, New York. In 1990, Nolan Ryan ties Bob Feller's record of pitching 12 one-hitters. In 1991, soccer star Diego Maradona is suspended for using cocaine, arrested in Argentina for possession and distribution of illegal narcotics. In 1992, the NFL Draft is held. University of Washington defensive end Steven Entman is the first pick by the Indianapolis Colts. In 1995, the baseball season begins after a lengthy strike. In 2003, that year's NFL Draft is held. USC quarterback Carson Palmer is the first pick by the Cincinnati Bengals. In 2008, that year's NFL Draft is held. University of Michigan offensive tackle Jake Long is the first pick by the Miami Dolphins. In 2012, that year's NFL Draft is held. Stanford quarterback Andrew Luck is the first pick by the Indianapolis Colts. And in 2018, that year's NFL Draft is held. Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield is the first pick by the Cleveland Browns. 4 quarterbacks are taken in the top 10 selections for the first time in history. And that was my half-assed sports report. When we come back, we're going to go across the lines with Outkast and the tag team Legion of Doom. We'll be back after these messages. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music is the 1994 debut album of American hip-hop duo Outkast. After befriending each other in 1992, rappers Andre 3000 and Big Boy pursued recording music as a duo and worked with production team Organized Noise, which led to their signing to LaFace Records. The album was produced by the team and recorded at The Dungeon, DARP Studios, Purple Dragon, Bosstown, and Doppler Studios in Atlanta. A Southern hip-hop record, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music features live instrumentation in its hip-hop production and musical elements from funk and soul genres. Wanting to make a statement about urban life as an African-American in the South, Outkast wrote and recorded the album as teenagers and addressed coming-of-age themes with the album's songs. They also incorporated repetitive hooks and Southern slang in their lyrics. The album was released by LaFace on April 26, 1994, and peaked at number 20 on Billboard 200, eventually being certified platinum in the United States. The record received positive reviews from critics and helped distinguish Southern hip-hop as a credible hip-hop scene amid East Coast and West Coast hip-hop markets' dominance at the time. The album has since been viewed by music journalists as an important release in both hip-hop and Atlanta's music scene. After receiving a $15,000 advance from LaFace in 1993, Outkast started recording the album at The Dungeon. The studio featured mostly second-hand recording equipment. Recording sessions also took place at Bosstown, Dallas Austin's DARP Studios, Doppler Studios, and Purple Dragon in Atlanta. Located in Midtown Atlanta, Bosstown developed a sentimental value for Outkast, who later bought the studio in 1999 and renamed it Stankonia after their fourth studio album. Through the album's recording, the duo refined their artistry and drew on ideas from funk, contemporary R&B, and soul music. Andre 3000 also smoked marijuana during the sessions. They recorded over 30 songs for the album. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music was produced entirely by Organized Noise, which was made up of Rico Wade, Ray Murray, and Sleepy Brown. Production team Organized Noise utilized live instrumentation on the album, emphasizing musical instruments including bass, keyboards, guitar, and organ over conventional hip-hop techniques such as DJing and sampling. They viewed that the feel of live instruments made the music sound more authentic and immediate. With the production, the team sought an organic, celebratory, down-home vibe. As Brown later recalled, we wanted Atlanta brothers to be proud of where they were from. Brown also sung vocals for several tracks. Along with Organized Noise, other members of Dungeon Family worked on the album, including Goody Mob, Mr. DJ, Deborah Killings, and Society of Soul. Outkast wanted to make a statement about urban life as an African American in the South, particularly Atlanta. Written when they were teenagers, much of the album addresses coming-of-age topics and has themes of self-empowerment and reflections on life in the New South. Encyclopedia of Popular Music editor Colin Larkin writes that the album comprises tales of the streets of their local East Point and Decatur neighborhoods. The album's seg tracks illustrate Southern life. The lyrics incorporate tongue twisters, triplet rhyme schemes, repetitive vocal hooks, Southern slang such as the recurring phrase, "ain't no thing but a chicken wing," repeated throughout "ain't no thing." The duo also interspersed their lyrics with references to classic cars, marijuana use, pimps, and players, which Big Boy defines as somebody who can take care of their business in the game of life. His flow is frenetic and has a rapid delivery, while Andre 3000 raps in a more relaxed cadence with staccato rhymes and occasionally sings on the album. Writer Martin C. Strong views that both rappers' lyrically panache on the album has an ebb and flow similar to Kool Keith and Del the Funky Homo Sapien. Their song Call of the Wild discusses the temptation to drop out of school, while Get Up, Get Out encourages teenagers to follow their passions, be productive, and stop using drugs. The latter is an intertextual track that mixes themes of consciousness and political awareness with images of violence, sex, drugs, and gangster culture. It features guest rapper CeeLo Green exploring perspectives of both man-child and maternal figure. Funky Ride has no rappers and is instead sung by R&B group Society of Soul, a side project of Organized Noise. It has an extended guitar solo and musical similarities to Funkadelic and Bootsy Collins. Crumblin' Herb explores themes of hedonism and addresses black-on-black violence and negative effect it has on African American culture. There's only so much time left in this crazy world. I'm just crumbling herb. Niggas killing niggas. They don't understand. It's the master plan. I'm just crumbling herb. The album's lead single, Players Ball, was released on November 19, 1993. Originally intended as a Christmas release, it featured the sound of sleigh bells in its original mix, but it was removed once the single began receiving more airplay. The single received its highest exposure in February 1994 with heavy airplay and promotion, including a music video directed by Sean Puffy Combs. Combs had received a copy of the single from LaFace founder L.A. Reid and invited Outkast to New York to perform as an opening act for Notorious B.I.G. By March, the single had sold 500,000 copies and risen to #1 on the Billboard Hot Rap Singles, topping the chart for 6 weeks. The single's popularity among young black college students during Freaknik increased its sales and helped it break into the top 40, a rare achievement for a hip-hop song at the time. Players Ball spent 20 weeks and peaked at number 37 on the Billboard Hot 100. On May 12, 1994, it was certified gold by the Recording Industry Association of America in the United States. The single helped create buzz for the album. Neither of the album's next two singles performed as well. The title track was released in July, and it reached number 74 on the Billboard Hot 100 in August. Its music video was directed by F. Gary Gray. Get Up, Get Out was released in October. It only charted on the Billboard Hot R&B singles, peaking at number 59. When Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music was released on April 26, 1994, it spent 26 weeks on the charts. Peaked at number 20 on the U.S. Billboard 200 on May 14th. It also reached number 3 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums, remaining on the chart for 50 weeks. By June, the album had sold 500,000 copies. The album's sales increased after Outkast's appearance at the 1995 Source Awards in January. On April 5th, 1995, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music was certified platinum by the RIAA for shipments of 1 million copies in the U.S. By August, it had sold 715,000 copies, according to the Nielsen SoundScan. The album was reissued by LaFace in September 1998. It was well received by contemporary critics. James Bernard of Entertainment Weekly preferred the album's Southern hip-hop over Arrested Development's suspiciously peppy, idolized version of Down Home, and stated, "It's about time someone told today's weed-obsessed youth to get up, get out, and get something. Don't spend all your time trying to get high." Dennis Hunt of the Los Angeles Times cited Get Up, Get Out as the album's highlight and commended the duo's sauntering hardcore tales of the hood, writing that they bristle with clever humor and sharp insights rather than rage. Rob Marriott of The Source complimented the duo's organic P-Funk influence and praised their lyrics' honesty, commenting that while their rhyme style may swing a little too close to Hero from My Comfort, what really makes this whole album so listenable is that truthfulness reigns. However, Rob Christgau gave the album a dud rating in his consumer guide for the Village Voice. In a retrospective review of the album, Steve Dwan of Rap Reviews called it a stellar debut album, but noted some musical flaws, including the monotonous bass line and chorus of Deep, Out of Place, Funky Ride, and album seg tracks. Music journalist Pete Shapiro found its production rich, deep, and detailed, but never as seductive or crowd-pleasing as Dr. Dre's, and commended the album as a melancholy depiction of the game that never shied away from its consequences, although he found occasional dull and mediocre spots. All-Music editor Stanton Swihart called the album an extremely strong showing and praised the duo's inventive sense of rhyme flow and mixture of lyrical acuity, goofball humor, southern drawl, funky timing, and legitimate offbeat personalities. Despite its success, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music had some detractors, including hip-hop tastemakers who were unaccustomed to the album's style. At the 1995 Source Awards, Outkast won the Best Newcomer category, but were booed upon taking the stage and delivering their acceptance speech. Big Boy managed to deliver his shout-outs, while Andre 3000 was nervous and only said, "The South got something to say." The latter recalled how the album was received by some listeners. People thought that the South basically only had bass music. At first, people were looking at us, I don't know. Hip-hop magnate Russell Simmons reacted negatively to the album at the time, but later expressed regret and said of the album in retrospect, "At the time, I didn't understand their music. It sounds so different from what I was used to that I foolishly claimed that they weren't hip-hop. The same way people didn't understand sucker MCs a decade earlier. I didn't understand that instead of operating outside of hip-hop, Outkast was actually expanding hip-hop. They were offering one of the most honest expressions, an expression so honest that it went completely over my head at first." After the album was certified platinum, LaFace Records gave Outkast more creative control and advanced money for their 1996 follow-up album, ATLiens. After acquiring their own recording studio, the duo immediately started working on new material and assimilated themselves with music, recording, and studio equipment, as they sought to become more ambitious artists and less dependent on other producers. The two also became more accustomed to playing live, particularly Big Boy, and Andre 3000 significantly changed his style as he adopted a more eccentric fashion sense, became a vegetarian, and stopped smoking marijuana. The album's success also opened up more opportunities for Organized Noise, who subsequently worked on TLC's Crazy Sexy Cool. The Organized Noise-produced hit Waterfalls became a massive success and earned the production team enough clout with LaFace to endorse Goody Mob to the label. Organized Noise produced Goody Mob's acclaimed 1995 debut Soul Food and continued their crossover into R&B production, including work on Curtis Mayfield's 1997 album New World Order. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music was a seminal album for Southern hip-hop. During the early 1990s, the scene was largely discredited by the rest of the hip-hop community as misogynistic and inferior to other scenes, particularly East Coast and West Coast hip-hop. Those scenes dominated the hip-hop market, and acts from the other regional scenes were often produced by either East Coast or West Coast producers. The album offered an artistically credible alternative, both musically and lyrically, to those regional scenes and was produced by an Atlanta-based production team. Music journalist T. Hassan Johnson notes Outkast's first submission to the music industry as significant for how they broke from the binary production options split by California and New York artists, viewing that their decision to boast their region and a native production team signaled a break from a conventional split between East and West Coast hip-hop aesthetics and openly demonstrated that the South could produce street-certified quality music. Nicole Hodges Pursley cites its release as a critical moment in hip-hop and writes that it marked a break in bicoastal hip-hop sound. The album presaged hip-hop's Dirty South aesthetic, which later achieved mainstream recognition. Its smooth musical style, drawing on soul and funk musical traditions, and the duo's clever lyrics helped define Southern hip-hop sound, which influenced acts like Goody Mob, Bubba Sparks, Joy, Ludacris, and many others. In the new Rolling Stone album guide, Rolling Stone journalist Roni Sarek writes that the album marked a coming out for the region that would dominate hip-hop by the decade's end, commenting that with it, Outkast helped define a new stream of hip-hop that would rejuvenate the music in the late 90s and early 2000s. All Music Stanton Swihart comments that no one sounded like Outkast in 1994, and that the album showcased organized noise as it began forging one of the most distinctive production sounds in popular music in the 90s. The album was also a significant release during the burgeoning Atlanta music scene. The scene started as a black music revival in Atlanta during the late 1980s and developed with the success of LaFace Records and the national attention received by Atlanta-based recording artists and producers such as Tony Braxton, Criss Cross, Jermaine Dupri, and Babyface. The album offered realistic depictions of the city and veered from the Afrocentric themes of Arrested Development and Dupri's mainstream stylings. It was named the third best album of 1994 in Ego Trip's list of hip-hop's 25 greatest albums by year 1980 through 1998. Vibe included it as one of the 150 essential albums of the Vibe era from 1992 to 2007. The magazine also included the album on their 2004 list of 51 essential albums that represent a generation, a sound, and in many cases a movement. Writing that Outkast determined the South had something to say, and after emerging from the Dungeon Production Lab, they said it all. Sometimes sang it all, pointedly, functified, and putting on an absolutely no East Coast pretense. Classic. Happy 26th anniversary, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. In today's birthdays, happy 28th birthday to American baseball player Aaron Judge. American YouTuber and producer of the show Hot Eats, Sean Evans, is 34. American actor and producer Channing Tatum is 40. American singer, songwriter, dancer, and actress Tian T-Boz Watkins of the group TLC turns 50. Your president's wife, Melanoma Trump, is also 50. American professional wrestler, actor, businessman, and politician Glenn Thomas Jacobs, better known as Kane, turns 53 today. American actor and comedian Kevin James turns 55. Canadian basketball player and member of the championship Bulls back in the 90s, Bill Winnington, turns 57. Also 57 is Chinese Singaporean martial artist, actor, and producer Jet Li. American actress and comedian Deborah Wilson turns 58. Actor, director, producer Giancarlo Esposito, Big Brother Almighty from School Days, turns 62. American doo-wop and R&B singer-songwriter Maurice Williams is 82 today. And turning 87 today is American actress, singer, and producer Carol Burnett. Happy birthday. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. You know what that means, right? You pay nothing. It's free 99. It's a free app that you put on your phone, and it lets you go from there. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Check out Anchor.
Demolition, Power and Glory, Powers of Pain, Pit Bulls, the British Bulldogs, Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express, the Rockers, the New Rockers, Rock and Sock Connection, the Can-Am Connection, Colossal Connection, Cactus Jack, Chainsaw Charlie, Jack and Gerald Briscoe, the Brainbusters, the Beverly Brothers, the Rougeau Brothers, Steiner Brothers, Brothers of Destruction, Disciples of Apocalypse, Natural Disasters, Doom, New Day, New Age Outlaws, New Heart Foundation, The Heart Foundation, Killer Bees, Smoking Guns, The Islanders, The Outsiders, The Head Shrinkers, The Headbangers, Hollywood Blondes, Harlem Heat, The Bushwhackers, The Street Profits, Skyscrapers, Twin Towers, Mega Powers, The Wild Samoans, The Nasty Boys, The Dudley Boys, The Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik, Sabu and Rob Van Dam, Public Enemy, Money Inc., Dream Team. None of them compare to the Legion of Doom. Road Warrior Hawk, Road Warrior Animal. What a rush.
And a special mention to those no longer with us. This past Thursday, we lost American DJ and rapper Fred the Godson, born Frederick Thomas on February 22, 1985, in Bronx, New York. His music was characterized by his husky voice, humorous wordplay, and creative rhymes. In the early 2010s, he released 2 mixtapes. His debut was Armageddon in 2010, featuring samples of the Notorious B.I.G., Busta Rhymes, Waka Flocka Flame, and Cam'ron. His second release, City of God, was one of a series for DJ Drama's Gangsta Grills, and featuring P. Diddy, Pusha T, and Raekwon. In 2011, XXL included him in its annual freshman class of up-and-comers. Between 2011 and 2020, Thomas released music and performed regularly, guest DJing on New York radio station Hot 97, and collaborated with artists including Pusha T, Jadakiss, Cam'ron, and Raekwon, as well as releasing the answer song, Monique's Room. He produced 2 additional mixtapes in 2020, Training Day in January with Jay Pharoah, and Payback, released March 20, 2020. Thomas was married to Leanne Jamont, and they had 2 daughters. Thomas was reported to be suffering from acute asthma and kidney problems after contracting COVID-19, and by April 6, 2020, his fever had abated in hospital. According to his publicist in his Instagram account, his wife told media on April 9th that she was concerned he was going to die, but the next day said he was going to make it and was being weaned from a ventilator. Thomas died at Montefiore Medical Center on April 23rd, 2020, age 35. Rest easy. On this day in 1994, the group Outkast released their debut album, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. It would set the blueprint for the Atlanta movement, as well as the overall sound of Southern hip-hop. Andre 3000, born Andre Lauren Benjamin, and Big Boy, born Antoine Andre Patton, met in 1992 at the Lenox Square shopping mall when they were both 16 years old. The two lived in the East Point section of Atlanta and attended Tri-Cities High School. During school, they participated in rap battles in the cafeteria. Andre 3000 dropped out of high school at age 17 and worked a series of jobs before he and Big Boy formed a group called 2 Shades Deep. He returned to obtain his GED at a night school following the release of Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. They briefly dabbled in street hustling to save up for recording money. The duo also spent time at their friend Rico Wade's basement recording studio, known as The Dungeon, with Wade's production team Organized Noise and future members of hip-hop group Goody Mob. Outkast recorded demos at the studio, and Organized Noise member Ray Murray helped Big Boy, whose strength lay in songwriting, develop his rapping skills. After several local productions, the team was hired by LaFace Records to produce remixes to songs from TLC's 1992 album, Ooh on the TLC Tip. The team had Andre 3000 and Big Boy rap over them, which led to a record deal from LaFace for both Organized Noise and Outkast. The commercial success of Arrested Development's 1992 alternative hip-hop single, Tennessee, also encouraged LaFace to sign Outkast, the label's first hip-hop act. Just as this legendary duo was setting the groundwork for their future success, another legendary duo in the world of wrestling was met with a crossroads in their career. That duo is Road Warrior Hawk, Road Warrior Animal, the Legion of Doom. And that leads us to Across the Lines.
He would step across the line. Habitually, he's a habitual line stepper.
After losing the WWF Tag Team titles to Money Inc. on February 7, 1992, Hawk and Animal briefly left the promotion. LOD would return a short time later with their original manager Paul Ellering at WrestleMania 8. The team later incorporated a ventriloquist dummy called Rocco, which served as their inspiration, but this gimmick was short-lived. Hawk left the company in disgust with the Rocco gimmick immediately after SummerSlam 1992 at the Wembley Stadium, where LOD rode to the ring on motorbikes in front of over 80,000 fans. He then went AWOL in London and missed the flight back to the US, while Animal stuck around and finished the team's contractual obligations with former Demolition member Crush, replacing Hawk on house shows in Europe in mid-September 1992 after Hawk left the WWF. Paul Ellering joined Crush and Animal in some six-man tag team matches. When the newly formed team returned to North America, Animal and Crush both started wrestling singles matches, and the team was no more. Shortly after Animal then left the WWF because an injury to his back forced him into a lengthy hiatus. Animal was born John Michael Laurinaitis. Animal, born Joseph Michael Laurinaitis, had briefly competed as the Road Warrior before Ole Anderson paired him up with Michael Hagstrand to form the Road Warriors in 1983. They were initially brought into Precious Paul Ellering's stable as a replacement for his team of Matt Bourne and Arn Anderson after Bourne was fired from the company. After a few months of rapid success, the Road Warriors dumped Ellering as manager, claiming they needed no manager. This was short-lived, as in early 1984, along with Precious Paul Ellering, formed a stable called the Legion of Doom in the National Wrestling Alliance's Georgia Championship Wrestling territory. The group consisted of the Road Warriors, Jake the Snake Roberts, and the Spoiler. The stable was short-lived, and the name Legion of Doom soon referred only to the Road Warriors and Ellering, with either name used interchangeably throughout their career. Animal reveals in The Road Warriors, The Life and Death of the Most Dominant Tag Team in Wrestling History DVD set that the name Legion of Doom was taken from the Super Friends cartoon. The Road Warriors' high-impact power style and unique attire quickly got them noticed by fans and dreaded by opponents, so much so that some wrestlers would grab their bag and leave the arena when they saw they were scheduled to face the Road Warriors. In Georgia, the team quickly rose to the top, despite being very young and without the traditional paying dues period, just because they were so believable in their role as power monsters. They gained a reputation for being very stiff and not selling simply because they could, and as a result, most of their matches ended quickly. They won the NWA National Tag Team Championship upon their debut, a title they would win 3 more times while in Georgia. Outkast released their debut album, Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music, on April 26, 1994, and the initial effort is credited with laying the foundation for Southern hip-hop and is considered a classic by many. It would go on to be certified platinum. This gave Outkast more creative control and advanced money for their follow-up album, which they recorded from 1995 to 1996. The duo took the opportunity to recreate their image. On a trip to Jamaica with producer Mr. DJ, the two decided to abandon their cornrow hairstyles in favor of a more natural aesthetic, vowing to stop combing their hair. Dungeon family member Big Rube observed an increase in the duo's confidence after returning from their first tour, remarking, "They started understanding the power they had in their music. They started showing a swagger that certain artists have, the ones that are stars. The two also have become more accustomed to playing live, and also underwent changes in their personal lives. In 1995, Big Boy's girlfriend gave birth to their first child, and Andre 3000 and Total's Keisha Spivey ended their 2-year relationship." The double platinum album ATLiens was released on August 27, 1996. The album exhibited a notable, more laid-back, spacey production sound, taking influence from dub and reggae. On ATLiens, Andre 3000 and Big Boy abandoned the hard-partying player characters of their debut album in favor of more spacey, futuristic personas, and produced many of the songs in their own for the first time. Their tracks have an outer space feeling to them, a feeling that, ironically, has warmed the community right up to them. Critics praised the group's maturing musical style on the record, which debuted at number 2 on the US. The album climbed to number 3 on Billboard's top R&B hip-hop chart, Billboard 200 chart, and sold nearly 350,000 copies in its first 2 weeks of release. The single Elevators, Me and You, reached number 12 and spent 20 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. ATLiens further solidified Outkast as the flagship representatives of the first-generation Dungeon family and the Southern hip-hop movement. The album helped the group earn more recognition amongst East Coast hip-hop fans and East and West Coast. For this album, Outkast joined with partner David Mr. DJ Sheets to form the Earth Tone 3 production company, which allowed the group to produce some of their own tracks. ATLiens was the group's second top 40 single, following Players Ball from their first album, and reflected the beginning of Andre's increasingly sober lifestyle. No drugs or alcohol so I can get the signal clear, he rhymes about himself in the single ATLiens. The Road Warriors would move on to their second promotion in 1984, Vern Gagne's American Wrestling Association, along with their manager Paul Ellering. On August 25, 1984, they defeated the Crusher and Baron von Raschke for the AWA World Tag Team Championship. The Road Warriors were brought in by Gagne to work as heels, but their squash matches soon won over fans. They became the AWA's top draw throughout 1984 and 1985, feuding primarily with the Fabulous Ones, and later the Fabulous Freebirds. The Warriors then began splitting their time between the AWA and Jim Crockett promotions in Georgia, where they started feuding with the NWA World Tag Team Champions, the Russians, all while still holding the AWA belts. The AWA and various NWA members were co-promoting cards at the time in an effort to compete with the World Wrestling Federation. Hawk and Animal eventually lost the AWA title to Jimmy Garvin and Mr. Electricity Steve Regal on September 29, 1985, due to the interference of the Freebirds. The Road Warriors' last appearance in AWA was on April 20th, 1986, at Wrestle Rock, where they defeated the team of Garvin and Michael Hayes in a steel cage match. During their AWA stint, the team became well known for using the Black Sabbath song Iron Man as their entrance theme. In March 1985, the Road Warriors began touring Japan, mainly with All Japan Pro Wrestling, where they made an immediate impact, squashing the monster team of Killer Khan and Animal Hamaguchi in under 4 minutes. This and subsequent dominant victories garnered the Road Warriors a lot of Japanese wrestling media headlines and front-page stories. Their tours with All Japan in 1985 and 1986 made the Road Warriors such legends in Japan that they toured the country whenever they were between contracts of the Big Three. The Road Warriors won the NWA International Tag Team Championship on March 12, 1987, and would hold them for 15 months before losing them to PWF World Tag Team Champions Jumbo Tsuruta and Yoshiaki Yatsu to unify the titles as All Japan Pro Wrestling World Tag Team titles, making the Road Warriors the last defending champions of the NWA International Tag Team titles. Their last match in Japan during this period was on July 22, 1990 for New Japan Pro Wrestling, losing to Masahiro Shono and Keiji Buta by disqualification. On April 19, 1986, the Road Warriors won the inaugural Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup Tag Team Tournament by beating Ron Garvin and Magnum TA in the finals. Building upon their rapid push, Hawk and Animal were featured attractions of the Great American Bash 1986 tour, where they were matched against Ivan and Nikita Koloff, as well as the Midnight Express. At Starrcade 86, the Road Warriors were featured in a scaffold match, defeating the Midnight Express. The Warriors joined forces with Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff in a bloody feud with the Four Horsemen. During the 1987 Great American Bash, the rival sides faced off in the first ever War Games match. The Road Warriors were on the winning side of War Games both matches that summer, taking their feud with the Horsemen to Starrcade 87, where they lost by disqualification to Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson. The Road Warriors also picked up the NWA World Six-Man Tag Team Championships twice alongside Dusty Rhodes. The Warriors engaged in a violent feud with the Powers of Pain, the Barbarian and the Warlord, where the Road Warriors finally met their equal physically. But the angle ended when the Powers of Pain left JCP after finding out they were booked against the Road Warriors in a series of scaffold matches that they were supposed to lose. In 1988, Hawk and Animal quietly turned heel and finally won the NWA World Tag Team Championship on October 29, 1988 in New Orleans, Louisiana, at a house show against the Midnight Express. In November of that year, the Road Warriors played a role in ending Dusty Rhodes' tenure as head booker for the promotion. During the November 26 episode of World Championship Wrestling, which was under strict instructions from TBS television executives prohibiting blading, the Road Warriors attacked Rhodes, removed a spike from their shoulder pads, and attempted to gouge his eye out. Rhodes was fired for that episode shortly after Starrcade 88. Before Rhodes was fired, Animal beat him at Clash of the Champions, so the Road Warriors were allowed to pick a new partner to hold the NWA World Six-Man Tag Team titles. They picked All Japan superstar Genichiro Tenryu, but the titles were quickly abandoned. The Road Warriors quickly turned face yet again due to overwhelming fan support, no matter how brutal or violent they were. Their World Tag Team title reign came to an end when they faced the Varsity Club on April 2, 1989. The title change was a controversial one, as referee Teddy Long performed an excessively fast count. Long would be fired from his job due to the count, but the titles were not returned to the Road Warriors. Hawk and Animal would spend the rest of their tenure in World Championship Wrestling, feuding with the teams like Samoan SWAT Team and the Skyscrapers. Their last big wins in WCW came when they defeated 3 other teams to win the Iron Man Tag Team Tournament at Starrcade 1989 Future Shock, and over the Skyscrapers in a Chicago street fight at Wrestle War 90 Wild Thing. The Road Warriors made their last WCW pay-per-view appearance on May 19, 1990 at Capital Combat, where they teamed with Norman the Lunatic against Kevin Sullivan, Cactus Jack, and Bam Bam Bigelow in a match that was cut from the commercial tape of the event. They left WCW in June 1990 due to heat with then WCW head Jim Herd, according to Animal on their WWE-produced DVD. Outkast released their third album, Aquemini, on September 29, 1998. It was also certified double platinum and reached the number 2 position on the Billboard 200 album chart in the United States. Its title was a combination of the zodiac signs of Big Boy, an Aquarius, and Andre, a Gemini. Producing more material themselves, both Big Boy and Andre explored more eclectic subject matter, delving into sounds inspired by soul, trip-hop, and electro music. The album featured production by Organized Noise and collaborations with Raekwon, Slick Rick, funk pioneer and musical forebear George Clinton, and Goody Mob. Outkast forged the connections between hip-hop and the black freedom struggle with their controversial song Rosa Parks featured on the album. Originally titled Sandbox, the pair's 4th album Stankonia was released in October 2000 to positive reviews. The album was seen as a change in the group's musical style, as it had a more commercial and mainstream appeal compared to their previous 3 albums, which were darker and deeper. It debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 in the US. It would eventually be certified quadruple platinum. Stankonia's first single was Bombs Over Baghdad, a high-tempo influence record. The second single, Miss Jackson, combined a pop hook with lyrics about divorce and relationship breakups, particularly Andre's breakup with singer Erykah Badu, the Miss Jackson character being a doppelganger for Badu's mother. It was at this time that Andre changed his stage name to the current Andre 3000, mostly to avoid being mixed up with Dr. Dre. The single became their first pop hit, landing the number 1 position on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and the number 2 position on the UK singles chart. The album's final single was the Organized Noise produced So Fresh So Clean, featuring a credited guest appearance from regular guest vocalist and Organized Noise member Sleepy Brown, and garnered a remix featuring Snoop Dogg. All 3 singles' videos had heavy MTV2 airplay, and Outkast won 2 2001 Grammy Awards, one for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group for Miss Jackson, and another for Stankonia as Best Rap Album. Pitchfork named Stankonia the 4th greatest album released between 2000 and 2004 in its 2005 feature. Later on, the webzine selected Stankonia as the 13th best album of the 2000s, and Bombs Over Baghdad was chosen number 1 song of the decade by this same webzine. In December of 2001, Outkast released the Greatest Hits album, Big Boy and Dre Present Outkast, which also contained 3 new tracks. One of these new tracks was the single The Whole World, which won a 2002 Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group. Killer Mike also was featured on the song, gaining some exposure among areas outside of his native Atlanta. The other 2 new songs were called Funkin' Around and Movin' Cool. The Road Warriors were moving cool in June of 1990 when they signed with Vince McMahon's World Wrestling Federation. They retired the Road Warriors moniker since at the time there was other wrestlers with Warrior in their name, such as the Ultimate Warrior and Kerry Von Erich, the modern-day Warrior. They both made their TV debuts on July 15, 1990 episode of Wrestling Challenge. In the WWF, the team would be known only as the Legion of Doom. Despite the altered team name, they were still individually introduced as Road Warrior Hawk and Road Warrior Animal. Hawk and Animal immediately entered into a feud with Demolition, the team McMahon had supposedly created in their likeness 3 years earlier, which led to a televised 6-man tag team match where Hawk and Animal teamed up with WWF World Heavyweight Champion Ultimate Warrior against all 3 members of Demolition. The Legion of Doom Demolition feud did not meet its expected intensity, and LOD soon set their sights on tag team titles. At SummerSlam 1991 in Madison Square Garden, the Legion of Doom defeated the Nasty Boys in a no-DQ street fight to win the World Tag Team Championship, becoming the only team to win World Tag titles in all 3 of the top promotions of the 1980s. With 3 platinum albums and a greatest hits record under their belt, Outkast spent 2 years working on their 5th effort before releasing a double album, Speakerboxxx The Love Below, on September 23, 2003. It is essentially 2 solo albums, one by each member, packaged as a single, released under the Outkast banner. The 2 members also appear and co-produce on each other's discs for a few songs apiece. Big Boy's Speakerboxxx is largely a funk and dirty south blended party record. Andre 3000's The Love Below features only brief instances of hip-hop, presenting instead elements found in funk, jazz, rock, electronic music, and R&B. The album was also Outkast's biggest commercial success, having debuted on the Billboard 200 albums chart at number 1 and stayed there for several weeks. The album eventually sold over 5 million copies, and, as double album sales count double for the RIAA certification, the album was certified diamond for 10 million units shipped in December 2004. Its latest certification in May 2006 reaches 11 million copies in shipping. The Road Warriors' last TV appearance as a team occurred on May 12, 2003 Raw episode in a tag team match against WWE World Tag Team Champions Rob Van Dam and Kane. The Road Warriors had hoped to get a full contract with WWE, but nothing ever came of it. Once again, they returned to Japan, competing in Fighting of World Japan Pro Wrestling, defeating the Shane Twins for the tag team titles on March 1, 2003. They dropped the titles to the Twins 3 months later. Their last match was defeating the Shane Twins on July 11, 2003. Road Warrior Hawk died 5 months later on October 19, 2003, of a sudden heart attack. He was 46 years old. With every accolade you could possibly get in hip-hop, from Grammys to VMAs to platinum albums, diamond albums, Outkast is arguably the greatest hip-hop duo in the history of rap. Not too many hip-hop artists can say they've garnered a diamond album. Their influence expands outside of the world of rap. Their influence supersedes the world of music. With winning every possible accolade you can as a tag team performer in the wrestling industry. All Japan Pro Wrestling Tag Team Championship, Tag Team Award from the Cauliflower Alley Club, the International Wrestling Superstars Championship, American Wrestling Association Championship, Catch Wrestling Association Championship, Fighting World of Japan Pro Wrestling Championship, the Georgia Championship Wrestling Championship, Jim Crockett Promotions, NWA World Six-Man Tag Team Championship, NWA World Tag Team Championship, the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup, Mid-Atlantic Championship, Mid-Eastern Championship, NWA Hall of Fame, NWA Legends Hall of Heroes, New Japan Pro Wrestling Tag Team Championship, Professional Championship Wrestling Championship, Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame Class of 2011, Tag Team of the Year 1983, 84, 85, and 88. Feud of the Year 1987. They are ranked number 25 of the top 500 singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 1995. World Wrestling Federation Championship, Rookies of the Year, the Wrestling Observer Newsletter, Tag Team of the Year. The list just goes on. The Road Warriors / Legion of Doom, arguably the greatest tag team duo in the history of professional wrestling. When Outkast first started, no one believed in them. The East Coast, West Coast, they shitted on them. But as Andre said in the 95 Source Awards, the South got something to say. They persevered and pushed on and made a huge global impact in the music industry. When LOD / the Road Warriors made their debut, there was nothing like them at the time. They were different, just like Outkast was different. Wrestlers didn't have face paint with shoulder pads coming out. They had a unique look, and the people gravitated to that. Didn't matter if they were violent, didn't matter if they were gory in their matches, they were heel, if they were faces. They were interesting. They were compelling. They were influential. Both groups were influential. And that was across the lines.
Line stepper.
Today in entertainment history, in 1954, Seven Samurai, a Japanese film directed by Akira Kurosawa, is released. In 1982, Rod Stewart is mugged in Los Angeles. He loses his $50,000 Porsche to the mugger, but is not hurt. The car is recovered several days later. In 1991, Luther Vandross releases the album Power of Love, and on that same day, the show Dinosaurs premieres on ABC TV. In 1992, Growing Pains' final episode airs, and on that same day, Who's the Boss final episode airs after 8 years on ABC. In 1994, Grace Slick pleads guilty to having pointed a shotgun at a police officer on March 5th. Johnny Cash releases his 81st album, American Recordings, and Outkast's debut album is released, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. In 2002, 50 Cent releases his official debut mixtape, Guess Who's Back. In 2010, Iron Man 2, directed by Jon Favreau, starring Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow, premieres in Los Angeles. In 2015, 2 of Lil Wayne's tour buses were shot at multiple times in Atlanta, Georgia. In 2018, comedian Bill Cosby is found guilty of sexual assault in Pennsylvania. And in 2019, Pete Rock releases The Return of the SP-1200. So that wraps up another edition of Over the Culture Podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's stay clean and quarantined, or we can find our local unemployment office and riot. Happy birthday to Melanoma Trump. Tell your bitch-ass husband he better come up with my check. Stay the fuck out my face. I'll be cool, peace.
Ohio.